Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO Chair, is a prestigious academic position established at a university or at a research institution. The Namibia University of Science and Technology, that is NUST, the proud holder of 3 chairs, with the 4th set to be officially launched tomorrow. The latest edition is centered on digital technology design with Indigenous people. To enlighten us more, I'm joined by award-winning researcher, Professor Heike Winschiers-Theophilus. Good morning, Prof, and welcome to Good Morning Namibia.
Good morning.
How are you doing on this gift of a Tuesday, Prof?
I'm doing fine.
Please talk to us about the importance of this chair in general, but also the 4th one that will be launched under NUST tomorrow.
Yeah, so the importance of the chair, of course, is like the name says, digital technology design with Indigenous people. And I think there has been a lot of confusion why it is with and not for Indigenous people. So what is really important to understand is that technology design is influenced by the context, by the designers themselves. So whoever designs the technology is the ones shaping the future, shaping society, shaping what is happening on the planet. And so therefore it's really important to say we include marginalized, we include Indigenous people in order to get new designs, new ideas about how the future should be shaped, how to include value systems of Indigenous people. And I'm just giving a simple example is like if privacy is important, I design a screen where the one sitting next to me cannot see anything. If sharing is important, I would design a screen where everybody around me could see what is happening on my screen. So you see the values are immediately implemented in the technology. And that's why it's so important to have Indigenous communities contributing to the design of technology, rather than being end users and being trained in something that makes no sense to them.
Very well. Thank you for that broad overview. Help us understand the timing of the launch of this chair with Indigenous people, of course. And, helping us understand where Indigenous people meet technology. Why is it being launched now?
Okay, one, of course, it has been coming a long way. It's a lot of preparation to come to the conclusion that actually technology and Indigenous knowledge, Indigenous people are linked. So it has been always in separate spaces. So there has been a lot of discussions on Indigenous knowledge is very, very important for health, for medicine, in biodiversity. But it has never been brought together with technology. And so the understanding that technology is actually the carrier or is a tool to transfer knowledge on these different topics, or it is in all spaces, tourism, biodiversity, everywhere. It's also important that technology gets adapted to those systems.
And of course, not only to transfer the information, but also to preserve the knowledge, to store that knowledge.
Yeah, so that's of course another one, so the content. So one is the technology itself and its functionality. The other thing is the content of it. And then we are back at what I said earlier, the involvement of the people. So it's not, you don't go and extract knowledge and then put it in there, because then you bias it, you misinterpret it. So the important thing is that Indigenous people are part of the creation of the content and the curation of it.
From the onset?
From the onset, yeah, till the end. So one is to collect the knowledge, to create structures, so to create repositories of this knowledge. But then the next step is to curate it, to create whatever games or create, So games, I think, is a very good example, which then keeps on carrying the authenticity of what has been put in.
We can't have this conversation without due regard to the digital divide that still plagues our nation. Have you considered that?
But okay, the digital divide is also, it's a creation, it's a societal creation. Because the digital divide comes still back to, if I design something that makes no sense to you, then you cannot use it.
Or that I can't afford or have access to.
Okay, again, that is a strategic point, because technology is not that expensive. So it's where do I put my funds? You know, where do I invest in? What is important for a society to function?
And the we that you're talking about, who is that?
Okay, who makes the decisions on? Okay, there's of course economical. There's the industry that that needs to rethink probably business models, and then there's the government, of course, in terms of strategies.
And certainly also there are institutions of higher learning, there are tertiary institutions that, as far as research and development are concerned, serve a very important purpose.
Yes, obviously, I just forgot about ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah, no, so of course, so we are also there to guide and to say, okay, if we would develop something like this, if that's cheaper, then why not go for this kind of solutions? I mean, we have developed technologies with little, you know, Raspberry Pis or whatever. It doesn't need to be things that cost millions. So there is really cheaper. There's open source, open access. You know, so there is solutions out there that could be used.
Very well, Prof. Now we understand that the goal is to create alternative learning ecologies for both communities and students. Please talk to us about that.
Okay, so the alternative learning ecologies that we are thinking of is, one, we have forgotten, being in academia, we have forgotten that the knowledge is also created outside of the university. So it's not just the professors writing clever papers. There is people out there that have knowledge, that have transferred knowledge over centuries. And so we are looking at communities here, local communities, that are actually knowledge hubs, or in academic terms, we would probably call them satellite campuses. So there is knowledge that has been created there, that continues to be created there. So especially in technology design, when technology design meets indigenous knowledge, new knowledge is created on a daily basis. And so we're looking at expanding, for example, the university or the formal education system into informal. There's all the grandmothers, the grandfathers, the uncles that have all this knowledge that has not been tapped in. And so if we could expand it and integrate it, so primary school children could interview their grandmothers, put it into stories, redesign it through technology, for example. So in this case, technology would then also serve as an intergenerational tool to transfer knowledge from formal, informal, and have this kind of mix. So the idea of this alternative is, let's integrate formal, informal, let's integrate indigenous knowledge and mainstream or Western knowledge, or whatever we want to call it. So to say we have multiple knowledge systems that are integrated. And then we have students and we have communities, students going to the communities, communities coming to the university, to have it much more fluid.
And integrated.
Integrated, yes. And so technology again can play a big role. We can have remote. We have been experimenting with holograms, so you could have actually the elders sitting with us here while they are not. So you know, there's a lot of options that one can follow.
So the launch is tomorrow.
Yes.
What can we expect?
So of course, so besides we have, because we have been working on it for long, we have interactive exhibitions that the students and the communities have been producing together. I'm also very happy that the elders from the village have joined us, so they have arrived in Windhoek. So they will be there sharing their perspectives on the technology design and on their role and their dreams in this bigger space. And so, of course, and then we have very important people from the government who join us. So we have a mix of interesting people, so that also from a networking perspective, it will be quite exciting.
The communities involved, do they hail from across the country? Where are they from?
So we in particular, our cluster or our UNESCO Chair works with two communities, one from Dongabos, the San community, and one in Ochisa with the Ovahimba community. So our principle is to work with them forever. So we are working with them since 2010. and then to follow inter-community exchange. So the ones we work with, they then work with other communities.
Hearing you say that you want to work with them forever, that's the goal. That also speaks to one of the central themes, namely sustainable development. How does that form part of what you're doing?
So of course it's part of everything in terms of our discussions, also in terms of our discussions with people from overseas who have their own ideas of what sustainable development is, and then also looking at how the communities have been living sustainably and how can we learn from the communities to integrate that in strategies for future developments.
In terms of future developments, what does that picture look like? What do you foresee? What do you envision?
Okay, that's a very broad question.
Absolutely,
that's now
intentionally
for the world, or so I'm trying to understand. So again, the idea is to say, can we develop strategies that I'm trying to think how to form it, where we can all be, we should all be custodians of the planet. We should also have inclusive societies, and thinking of what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, what can we learn from the past. And I think one of the interesting ones of the integration is also we have learned about intestine readings for predictions. Then we have for example, we have our weather apps that work, don't work. So I'm kind of imagining how would it look like if we could create better prediction systems where we integrate those two systems, where we combine intestine readings with weather apps, for example. Are we then able to predict better weather forecasts or not?
And prepare better for those eventualities.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But also to be more caring about the planet, so not to just consume, so to have like a whole paradigm shift of exploitation rather and have caring as a more foregrounded value system.
Compassion and empathy.
Yes.
Yeah. Any final thoughts before we let you go, Prof?
Okay, the final thoughts, of course. So I would encourage people to rethink and consult their grandmothers and have some new ideas, and not think of indigenous knowledge as being something of the past or something traditional, but rather to use it as a point of new reference to design the future.
# consult your cuckoo.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Good luck with the launch tomorrow, and good luck with establishing a culture of caring and compassion and empathy toward our planet with Indigenous people.
Okay.
Thank you, Professor.
Yeah, thank you.